Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Yashoda Nandana, Jaya Vraja Janaranjana, Jaya Yashoda Nandana, Jaya Vraja Janaranjana, Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Kunja Vihari, Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Now, Prabuji, if you can, yeah. So we collected some of the verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, which Narada Muni is, Sri Narada Muni is instructing. So I will try to sing those. Shri Narado Vacha Parasharya Mahabhaga Bhavataha Kaschidatmana Paritushyati Sharira Atma Manasayeva va. Addressing Vyasadeva, the son of Parashara, Narada inquired, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as objects of self-realization? Shri Narada Vacha Bhavata Anudita Prayam Yasho Bhagavato Amalam Yenaivaso Natushyeta Manyetad Darshanam Kilam. Shri Narada said, you have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the personality of Godhead. That philosophy which does not satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord is considered worthless. Nayat vachas chitra padam harer yasho jagat pavitram pragranita karhichet tadvayasam tirtam ushanti manasa nayatra hamsa niramanti ushikshayaha. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. Tadvak visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abaddhavati api namani anantasya yasho ankitani yat shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadavaha. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Tyaktva swadharmam charanabhujam hare bhajanna pakvo atapate tato yadi yatra kva va bhadramabhuta kim ko varta apto abhajatam swadharmataha. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Shri Narada Uvacha Bhikshubhir Vipravasite Vignane Deshtribhir Mama Vartamano Vayasi Tatayetat Akarasham. Sri Narada said, the great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way. Narada Uvacha Deva Deva Namastestu Bhuta Bhavana Purvaja Tadvijanihi Yajnanam Atma Tattva Nidarshanam. Sri Narada Muni asked Brahmaji, O chief amongst the demigods, O firstborn living entity, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Please tell me that transcendental knowledge which specifically directs me to the truth, to the truth of the individual soul and the super soul. Narada Uvacha Nadunapi avamanam te sammanam vapi putraka lakshyamaha kumarasya saktasya kridanadishu. The great sage Narada told Dhruva, my dear boy, you are only a little boy whose attachment is to sports and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by words insulting your honor? Narada Uvacha Jananya Vihita Panta Savai Nishreya Sasyate Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Pravarnatmana. The great sage Narada told Dhruva Maharaja, the instruction given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord. Gai Gora Madhusware Gai Gora Madhusware Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Gai Gora मधुश्वरी गाय गोरा मधुश्वरी गृहे थाको वनिता को सदा हरि बोले डको गृहे थाको वनिता को सदा हरि बोले डको गृहे सदा हरि बोले डको सुखे दुखे भूलो ना को वदने हरि नाम करो सुखे दुखे भूलो ना को वदने हरि नाम करो गाय गोरा मधुश्वरी गाय गोरा मधुश्वरी माया जले बद्ध होए आशो मिशे खाजलोए माया जले बद्ध होए आशो मिशे खाजलोए माया जले बद्ध होए आशो मिशे खाजलोए आया आशा ये कौन चेतन पे राधा माधव नाम बोलो रे ये कौन चेतन पे राधा माधव नाम बोलो रे गाय गोरा मधुश्वरी गाय गोरा मधुश्वरी जीवन होइलो से ना बजिले ऋषि के जीवन होइलो से ना बजिले ऋषि के जीवन होइलो से ना बजिले ऋषि जीवन भक्ति विनोदोपदेश एक बानाम्र से मतोरे भक्ति विनोदोपदेश एक बानाम्र से मतोरे गाय गोरा मधुश्वरी गाय गोरा मधुश्वरी गाय गोरा मधुश्वरी गाय गोरा मधुश्वरी. Lord Gaurasundara sings in a very sweet voice, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Whether you are a householder or a sannyasi, constantly chant Hari Hari. Do not forget this chanting, whether you are in a happy condition or a distressful one. Just fill your lips with the Harinama. You are bound up in the network of Maya and are forced to toil fruitlessly. Now you have obtained full consciousness in the human form of life. So chant the names of Radha Madhav. Your life may end at any moment, and you have not served the Lord of senses, Rishikesha. Take this advice of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Just once relish the nectar of the holy name. Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Prabuji, you are on mute, Prabuji.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, Prabuji.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All the Shri Prabhupada, welcome back. Very well done, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna, welcome back. Om Jnana Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantam Vandeham Shri Guru Shruta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Saganaragnatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Saganalalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanu Sute Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yes. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaur Krishe Namaha. O most beautiful incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani. You are widely distributed pure love of Krishna. And I offer respectful obeisances to you. Krishna Varnam Krishna Krishna San Rupangos Prapashram Yadnahi Sankirtana Prayo Yajanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregation chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, constantly sings the names of God, names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharne Nipunao Shadadharma Samstapakao Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravindabhajana Anande Mattarito Vande Sanatana Raghuyugo Sri Gopalato. I offer my respectful obeisance under the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Raghunath, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the living scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the 3 worlds and are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naro Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraya Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Prabhupada Govindam Hari Krishna Hare Krishna Guru. Please accept my humble obeisances for Krishna Prabhupada. Welcome back again. So before I begin, Cindy is going to recap what we covered last week.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. In the last class, we did lesson 4 of theme 2, defining Bhakti, covering Sutras 15 to 21. Normally the question is, does this concept of pure devotional service really exist or is it imaginary? If yes, then who is the best example of it? Narada Muni states in Sutra 21 that the simple cowherd women of Vraja, the gopis, are the exemplaries of topmost expression of love for Krishna. And why so? Because only the gopis transgress all the social and spiritual injunctions without caring for their bodily demands, fruitive actions, self-gratification on the path of varnashrama. They willfully accept the slander of the society and accusations of the family, accept all the miseries, punishments, scoldings, just to render pure loving service to Krishna, just to please him. In Sutra 20, it is explained that only this kind of devotional service is the sole objective and essence of all the religious principles and scriptural knowledge, and can be achieved when the false ego is dissolved completely by devotional service and is replaced by true ego. One then realizes his position of the eternal servant of the Vraja Sri Krishna. In Sutra 19, Narada Muni explains that in order to come to this realization, one must be so absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord that he feels very miserable if he forgets the Lord only for a single moment. To achieve this state, one must develop fondness for worshipping him in various ways, hearing Krishna Katha and remove all obstacles, tolerate all conditions, good or bad, somehow to reach the state of complete surrender and be absorbed only in the Lord, think of him, become his devotee, worship him, and offer him homage. For this, in Sutra 18, Shandilya Muni highlights that it is of utmost importance to remove the obstructions that takes one's mind away from the Lord. Only after these obstructions are removed, one takes pleasure in the Supreme Self, Atmarati. The devotee who is forever absorbed and is preaching the glories of the Lord always maintains ecstatic love in his heart for the Lord. In this context, in Sutra 17, Garga Muni mentions that pure bhakti can be developed by increasing laulyam, the attachment for hearing Krishna Katha, best from those who are free from material desires, as only Lord's pure devotees always dwell in him and live happily by devoting themselves to his service. In Sutra 16, Srila Vyasadeva says that devotional service is fond attachment for worshipping Vraja Sri Krishna in various ways. One such way to develop this attachment is deity worship. When done heartily, Anuraga is experienced towards the Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami says, through deity worship, a devotee's material contamination is also counteracted. Srila Prabhupada has stressed on hearing and chanting as most important in Kali Yuga. Finally, we arrive to the topic of lesson 4, which is the characteristics of pure devotional service. In Sutra 15, these characteristics are described according to the authoritative opinions. Prahlad Maharaj has given ninefold process of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan follow 6 divisions of surrender: accepting the favorable on the path of devotional service, rejecting the unfavorable, complete conviction in the protection of Rajashri Krishna, accepting Rajashri Krishna as one's master, full surrender, and humility. And today, in lesson 5, we will see how pure bhakti, when done without the knowledge of the Lord's majesty, is far more superior to the other handles of spirituality, namely karma, jnana, and yoga. Over to you, Prabuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Please accept humble obeisance. All worship of God. So I'll share my screen with you. Yeah. So everybody can see the screen?
Yes, Prabuji,
Yeah.
we can see this.
So today we are doing chapter 2 of 2, theme 2, lesson 5, Sūtras 22 to 25. Pure bhakti without knowledge of the Lord's majesty is far superior karma, jnana, and yoga. Now, this is what we are doing, as we learned from previous lessons, that our role model is the gopis of Vrindavan, right? And they were, their prema was such intense, such potent, that Krishna's majesty, divinity, Aishwarya, that was suppressed because of their prema. It's not like that we learned that they did not know about that, but Yogamaya's potency, that Aishwarya Jnana was suppressed. So they could really just participate in Krishna's pure love. So that is what we are going to focus on today. And as it said, that the title is, this is far more superior than other modes of self-realization, jnana yoga, karma yoga, and ashtanga yoga. Again, this is the Narada Muni who is instructing Srila Vyasadeva. So here is the theme 2, lesson 4, 5, 6, 4 we did last week. So today we'll be doing lesson 5 and Sūtras 22 to 25. So there are not that many Sūtras in lesson 5. So hopefully we'll wind up much sooner than we usually do. So what is the theme of this lesson 5? The pure bhakti without the knowledge of the Lord's majesty, the Aishwarya Jnana, his divinity, is far more superior than other modes of self-realization. And lesson 6, Sūtras 26 to 33, that we will do tomorrow, actually. And there we will focus on the dainya bhava that the devotees have when they worship Krishna. And Krishna likes that. So here, it's only 4 sutras, 22, 23, 24, and 25. A brief outline of each of the sutras that represent is mentioned right here. Sutra 22, it's not that the gopis were unaware of the Lord's majesty. Okay? They were very clear about that, and Krishna's divinity and everything. However, it's the prema that suppresses because of the yoga's potency, so that Krishna can interact with the gopis in Madhura Bhava, Madhurya Rasa. So 23 is highlighting the gopis' loving exchange with Krishna, and that has nothing to do, although it seems like that, because we did Sri Ujjwal Melamani, remember? It seemed like that it's like a relationship interaction with a young boy and a young girl, sounding like very much like lusty relationship, but it's far from that. And the most important thing we need to note, and that as Krishna is all transcendental, there's not a tinge of material in is there in him, and lust is the manifestation of the material modes of nature. And so same is in the gopis too. They were also all transcendental. Their bodies were all spiritual. So there is no question about that. So that we will focus on that. So I have nothing to do with mundane lust, despite it may seem that way. And the Sutra of 24 is the distinction between prema and lust, and that is being defined very clearly. And what is how prema is quite different than what we call lust here, between a young boy and a young girl. That is not the kind of relationship they have. It's completely on a transcendental platform. And last but not least is the Sutra 25, and their theme is Prema Bhakti is far superior to karma, jnana, and the yoga. So very straightforward today's topics are here actually. Very easy to understand. There's nothing complicated philosophy, very straightforward. Okay? So hopefully we'll get things much sooner, and then we can focus more on discussion. And then toward the end, if time permits, I'd like to discuss something quite different. As we know, we are launching 3 courses, Narada Bhakti Sutra that we are already running. And right after completion of Narada Bhakti Sutra is Madhurya Kadambini. That's 24 lessons. Unlike Narada Bhakti Sutra, there are only 12 lessons. And then after we complete Madhurya Kadambini, then we will do Jaiva Dharma, and that's a very big course for 48 lessons. But in order to understand that Jaiva Dharma, right in that itself, the principal character is heavily emphasizing that we should know about this another scripture that was composed by Jaladananda Das, who was the contemporary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was a very, very close associate of Mahaprabhu. And he had composed that called Shri Prema Vivarta. So I'm actually now I'm discussing with my organizational team members, and if they all concur, then I would like to do that 4th course also, before we begin Jaiva Dharma, so that we can be right in tune what we are going to be learning in Jaiva Dharma. Okay? So that I want to talk about it. Fortunately today, as I told you, there are only 4 sutras, and we'll have sufficient time for discussion. In the last 15-20 minutes we have, then I will talk about that Prema Vivarta, why it is so important to take up. And that is what I want to focus and see how much interest is there among all of you also. You know? All right. So first we will read these Sanskrit verses, mantras, Sanskrit sutras, its translation, and then we will discuss each of these four sutras. Right? So the theme is here: pure bhakti without knowledge of the Lord's majesty is far superior to karma, jnana, and yoga. Sutra number 22. Tatrapi na mahatma jnana. This mahatma jnana, that is what the Aishwarya jnana, the Lord's divinity, His majesty, Aishwarya, awe in reverence. So there, these gopis, they knew about it. It's not like that they were not aware of it. And yet, this Mahatma Jnana, Aishwarya Jnana, Vismriti. Vismriti means not remembering it. No? And that is not free from apavada. See that? Vismriti, apavada. Apavada, what is apavada? Apavada means somebody who is criticizing, So, general conception, if Krishna is the supreme God, then we should worship him in great reverence. The gopis had such an intimate relationship with Krishna, their prema suppressed that particular jnana, Aishwarya jnana, Krishna's supreme, his majesty, his divinity, did not interfere there. So that is what really in these few words, Narada Muni that's what he's transmitting, that message. Even in the case of the gopis, so what it says, Narada Muni is warning us, just because gopis did not consider Krishna's divinity, we have no right, we are not qualified to criticize, apavada of gopis for forgetting the Lord's greatness. It's actually not their forgetting, but that is suppressed by Yogamaya potency. So Radha and so Krishna, gopis, Radha, of course, is the head of all the gopis. They can interact this Madhurya rasa, conjugal rasa. So that is what the meaning of this particular sutra is all about. Okay? We'll go much deeper than that, of course. Then Sutra 23, Tad Vihinam. Tad Vihinam. Vihina means something beyond, not really without something, that's called Vihina. Tad Vihinam Jaranam Eva. Jara means that is called the a relationship, paramount relationship, relationship with Krishna and the gopis were, as we covered in the previous course, Ujjwal Nilamani and other courses, Gopala Champu especially, that gopis were married to other gopas. Yes, we know the reasons why, but that was not really, it was, they had that kind of understanding by the Yogamaya. Okay, so that's why this paramount relationship could be practiced, So, Jara Anam Eva. So, among the those who are having paramount relationship, so translation, so just connection with the previous mantra, previous sutra, says on the other hand, so even the gopis were not really conscious about Krishna's divinity. They were aware of it, but their subconscious, because of Yogamaya's influence, and that was suppressed. Even then, the other hand, they said the display of the devotion without the knowledge of Krishna's divinity are no better than the affairs of illicit lovers. So the parallel relationships with illicit lovers. Now this sutra is little difficult to understand, and that's we'll focus a little bit more time on that. Okay, the way it is worded, Sutra 24. Nasti eva, asti means that is, na asti means that which is not. Eva tasmins tat sukha sukhitvam. So this, in such false devotion, one does not find pleasure exclusively in the Lord's pleasure. So this also we'll understand clearly that Gopi's pleasure, their happiness lied in the happiness of Krishna. If Krishna is happy, Krishna is deriving the pleasure, then that is Krishna's pleasure, is their pleasure. Sukha, sukhitvam. That's what it means now. So clearly, as you can see, that differentiate, that distinguishes between love and lust. In lust, the beloved expects how the other beloved can make him happy. Okay, but in love, it's completely opposite. How my beloved can be pleased by my service, then I'm going to be pleased. So my pleasure in Krishna's pleasure. That is what the prema is all about. Unlike the lust, lust is much more self-centered. So that is the meaning of nasti eva, that which is not there. The one's own happiness lies in Krishna's happiness. Okay, the sutra number 25. Sa tu karma jnani yogebhyo api adhikatara. Adhika means something superior. So this particular, what we are talking about, this particular prema is much more superior than the karma yoga, jnani yoga, and ashtanga yoga. Compared to that, adhika, much more superior than that. So pure devotional service, on the other hand, is far superior to fruity work, philosophical speculation, and mystic meditation. So this is what it's all about now. So what the underlying message of this all four mantras is the gopis prema is so superior to all other modes of self-realization processes. Okay, let's take whatever. Okay, let's take a break. So break is much earlier, but just let it sink in. These four sutras that we just talked about. So far we talked about them, the meanings of these four sutras. Now we'll dive a little bit deeper into each of these four sutras, what it's actually telling us. Okay? Hare Krishna. The 5-minute break. Okay, about 10 seconds. Good. So now we'll go a little deeper into that. Prabhupada's purports we will be discussing. So, Sutra number 22. Even in the case of the gopis, one cannot criticize them for forgetting the Lord's greatness. That's what the sutra says, that, right? So, Narada Muni, as you see right here, and I've also given some page numbers also. If you want to read it a little bit yourself, you can go back. So, Narada Muni is countering the criticism. Some people might criticize, especially when those of us who are in the Aishwarya Jnana, very conscious about Krishna's divinity, then how is it possible without being conscious about that? That is what the issue is here. So one should not criticize the gopis for that. That's what Narada is saying. And he's explaining why not. So Narada is countering the possible criticism that gopis' supreme love for Krishna was simply because criticism is that, okay, gopis were not aware of Krishna's divinity and they were attracted because Krishna is exquisitely very, very handsome, very, very attractive personality he had, not just look, but even his personality, Bhakti, Chatura, and so on like that, and very young, very smart. So girls are obviously would be attracted to such young boys, So criticism is that their gopis' love for Krishna is because of that, simply because Krishna is attractive and so on like that. No, Narada Muni is warning us. No, that's not because of that. He's saying that the criticism is that the gopis' supreme love for Krishna was simply because of the young boy's extraordinary beauty and the charm that he had. A very smart, talking person Krishna was. So Narada Muni is saying that, however, what he's pointing out, that is the fallacy behind that criticism. What is that fallacy? That the gopis were unaware of Krishna's majestic powers. How could that be? Krishna actually displayed his divinity, his great power. He lifted up Govardhan Hill. He subdued the very, very poisonous Kaliya serpent, whose poison was so potent, even the birds flying 2,000-3,000 feet above the ground, they used to fall dead, And here, this 7-year-old kid completely subdued the serpent. And there are many, many such examples that we see in the 10th canto. So all the Brajavasis saw that, actually. So it is not that Krishna was, he had some superhuman powers, but they attributed that he was empowered by Lord Narayana because of that. So the criticism is that the gopis were unaware. That is, the Narada Muni is pointing out, that's not true. They saw that his power, exactly, Krishna displayed that. So critics' presumption, the gopis were unaware of the Krishna's majestic powers, that's not true. On the contrary, they were fully aware of that fact. It is their madhurya rasa that overshadowed, that suppressed their knowledge of Krishna's majesty, divinity, and so on like that. It was not like a young boy, very attractive personality, look and all these things. Because of that, they were madly in love with Krishna. No, it is not like that. So it is because of their madhurya rasa, their intimacy, that was because of that. And that is what overshadowed their awe and reverence toward Krishna's majesty and their opulence. So Narada Muni is countering that common criticism people had, that it was not just the love between young boy and the young girl because of the physical attraction. No, their love was completely on a spiritual level, Atma level. Then page 60, 61, Narada Muni and Prabhupada is talking more about it, discussing more. The gopis had full knowledge of Krishna's divinity, but their conjugal mood overpowered that knowledge. It's like in a young, let's say, just a crude example. And usually to understand something beyond our conception, how to understand that, okay? So the acharyas, what they give, they make a rough comparison that what you are familiar with it, and then say that it's like a frog in a well. To a frog, that well is like a huge ocean, right? But the real ocean is much vast. So here also like that, we are given what we are familiar. That's what here the comparison is being made. The gopis had full knowledge of Krishna's divinity, but their conjugal mood overpowered that knowledge. So if a young girl knows that the boy they are in great love is very rich man's son, but when their love becomes intensified, that his wealth does not enter in their attraction for the boy. Okay, they're naturally attracted that boy so much, they're beloved, that whatever the assets that boy had, that becomes suppressed. So I'm just drawing a crude example. So with that, we can have some idea what is this love on a spiritual platform to be that intense. So they happily complied with Krishna's fruit. So that's why they did that. They were supposedly married to other gopas. When Krishna summoned them through his flute song, middle of the night, in the deep forest, they left everything, whatever they were doing in between, everything they left as it is. They ran towards Krishna to meet him. So that's what they happily complied. They even didn't care about the Vedic injunctions. They did not care about their elders' criticism and all these things. They bypassed that. They were willing to go to hell like that, by transgressing the injunction. It was that kind of intense love they had for Krishna. And Krishna desired for the Rasa dance in the forest around midnight. So that is what their intense love for Krishna was like that. And of course, the much more intensity of the love that came out in their separation, actually, Vipralamba. When Krishna left Braja for Mathura, we all saw how much the gopis went through that intense pain of separation from Krishna. That came out actually in great separation only. So knowing fully the gopis' steadfast devotion to Krishna, even Uddhava glorified, Vyasadeva is glorifying, Sukadeva is glorifying, such great personalities. Their transcendental perfection. It is unfair to judge the gopis based on the mundane standard of human behavior. So that is what it's really, the whole entire Sutra 22 is pointing out that we should be very careful. We should not compare the gopis' love for Krishna as an ordinary love affair between a young girl and a young boy. It's much more, it's transcendental, beyond the material conception of understanding. Even though on the surface it may look like that. So Narada is making a clear distinction about that. Okay, mantra, Sutra 23. So with that in background, okay, on the other hand, displays of devotion without knowledge of Krishna's greatness are no better than affairs of illicit lovers. So now this is a little bit more difficult to understand, okay? So the conditioned souls easily mistake the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna as mundane dealings in an ordinary boy and girl. If Krishna's pastime with the gopis were lusty affairs, so Prabhupada is pointing out that why would such personalities, we already saw one example, Uddhava, right? Vyasadeva, Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is a special example. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it said that when Sukadeva Goswami was right when he was in the womb of his mother, he would not want to take birth actually. For so many years, he remained in the womb of his mother. And Vyasadeva had to actually summon the help of Krishna. Krishna had to promise Sukadeva Goswami, because Sukadeva Goswami was worried that if he takes birth in this material world, he would be affected, because he was already a Brahman realized personality. So what happened when finally he was born, then immediately after taking birth, he just ran away from home. And Vyasadeva, he ran after him. On the way, there was a lake, and the young girls were taking bath, okay, without clothes and all that. So when this young 16-year-old boy ran, he did not pay attention to those young girls taking bath, okay. But this old, so the young girls, when he passed, did not cover themselves up. But behind this young boy, his father, Srila Vyasadeva, were running after. As soon as they saw Vyasadeva, immediately they covered themselves. Now Vyasadeva is a much older personality, so he was kind of amazed why it is so. So he asked the girls, why is it so? When my young boy, 16-year-old boy, completely naked, and the girls were taken back, you did not cover yourself. But here I'm an older personality, and you covered yourself. Why? So then they said, Vyasadeva, your son does not even know the difference between man and woman, because you obviously know that, you know. So Sukadeva was that kind of personality, and in that kind of personality, he glorifies the relationship with gopis and Krishna with such a great personality. Right from childhood, he was like a brahmachari. And then, of course, Uddhava. So they are, and even Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was very, very strict follower of celibacy, he also glorifies the relationship between the gopis and Krishna. So they would not do that otherwise. So that is what it is. The great personality, neither pure brahmacharis like Narada Muni, Sukadeva Goswami, nor liberated sages like Uddhava and Srila Vyasadeva would have glorified them so highly. Besides, the gopis had spiritual bodies. So that's I just mentioned right in the beginning. The lusty kind of feeling comes when we are under the mode of passion, material mode of passion. But the gopis' bodies were completely spiritual. They did not have material bodies, just like all of us. So they were as transcendental as Krishna himself. Besides, the gopis had spiritual bodies, just like Krishna. Lust is the manifestation of a material body, which they did not. So when Sukadeva Goswami was describing Krishna's rasa dance with the gopis, King Parikshit raised similar doubts. Now, of course, Parishit Maharaj also no ordinary personality. He even saw Krishna right when he was still in the womb of his mother, Uttara, Parishit Maharaj. So why would he doubt? Actually, our Acharyas explained that he was doing it for the sake of people like us who would doubt like that. So that's why he wanted Sukadeva Goswami to explain that. So when he questioned that, how could the gopis attain liberation by thinking of a paramour? So Sukadeva Goswami is replying that even if one thinks that the gopis were motivated by lust, any association with Krishna will purify. Even if you have a lusty kind of thoughts, when you hear Krishna Katha, especially his interaction with the gopis, it will purify our mind. In fact, that is given in one of the courses that we did. What was that course? It was the Upanishad, one of the Upanishads we discussed. So there it is clearly mentioned that Krishna just, in fact, when the gopis wanted to celebrate, worship Garga Muni, not Garga Muni, Durvasa. So the Durvasa Muni is to live other end of the Yamuna river. So they had to cross. And Yamuna river was in full monsoon season. So they asked Krishna, how should they go? So Krishna said, just swear, you go to the river and swear that Krishna is born celibacy. So of course they knew. So they worried, and then Krishna, the Yamuna river, did part. And when they reached to Durvasa Muni, and they asked the same question, Durvasa Muni also said the same thing. So Krishna is such that even if you have a lusty kind of thoughts in your mind, but when you hear his interaction with the gopis, our mind becomes purified, our heart becomes purified. So how could that be like that lusty? So that is the argument Prabhupada is making here. Any association with Krishna will purify one of all the material desire. While lust is used to describe their feelings towards Krishna, it is actually a transcendental emotion, as they wanted him to be their husband. That's what the gopis desired here. Especially the unmarried gopis that we discussed. They wanted to have, and that's why they were performing that, they took a vow. They were worshipping the goddess Katyayani to have Krishna as their husband. That's what their desire was there. It's actually a transcendental emotion, as they wanted Krishna to be their husband. But that was impossible. Particularly those married gopis, that was not possible for them. So they were supposedly married to their so-called husbands, despite retaining their love for Krishna. So they were in that kind of delay. So Prabhupada further argues the gopis' transcendental love for Krishna was within his Ladini Shakti. So see, both of them, Krishna and the gopis, both of them were in a transcendental platform. So when Krishna wants to enjoy, he doesn't need anybody on the material plane. No. And he has this three internal potencies: Sandhini Shakti, Samavit Shakti. Sandhini Shakti is totality. Samavit Shakti is the knowledge-giving potency. And the third one is Ladini Shakti. That is Srimati Radharani personifies that. So Krishna can only enjoy with on the gopis which we are discussing right now. They were all descended all the way from spiritual world, Gora Vrindavan Dham, spiritual world. They descended. So they were all his eternal concerts here when they descended. So Gopi's transcendental love for Krishna was within his Ladini Shakti, or internal pleasure potency, as to why Krishna acts. So now Parishit Maharaj is first he asked a question why would Krishna do that? And then Sukadeva Goswami already explained that they were both on a spiritual platform and so on like that. So then Parikshit Maharaj is asking a question again for the benefit of all of us, that even though if we agree that, why would Krishna act in such a way that people will misunderstand him, especially in this age and day, this age actually. So very easily people would be confused about it. Why would Krishna do that? So Sukadeva Goswami is explaining that as why Krishna acted in a way that would make ordinary people see him as an immoral person. Okay? So Sukadeva Goswami is explaining. So this thing was given in a very succinct way. We did Krishna Sandarbha. Srila Jiva Goswami discusses it at much greater length, much greater depth. Now, obviously, we don't have time to go through that, but this has been analyzed very, very thoroughly. Actually. So Sukadeva Goswami is saying to Parikshit Maharaj that Lord Krishna is the supreme controller, which makes him beyond the jurisdiction of the social and religious principles of the human society. You cannot judge by our definition of morality and so on, because he's beyond. It just, again, I'll give you a crude example of on a material level. We are all familiar, right? That let's say we drive a car and there are posted rules, regulation that you cannot go drive beyond 55 miles per hour on a highway or in a town, let's say 35 miles per hour. And if we break that rule, we get ticket. We have to pay the fine, right? But the police can go 60 miles an hour on a 35-mile zone. And how come they are doing like that? But you know that because they are the one who are enforcing the law. If they also come into the same kind of jurisdiction, then they cannot enforce the law. Because the criminals will always break the speed limit, and you cannot catch that. So police are given special power. So we don't criticize police on that, right? So here is something like that. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the supreme controller of the entire universe. So our laws is beyond the jurisdiction. Krishna, we have no right to criticize Krishna. Simply, we cannot understand that. So that's what, on that grounds, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining that he's the supreme controller, which makes him beyond the jurisdiction of our social etiquettes and so on like that. So here is the question. Ramya Mataji actually telephoned me, sent me a message. And it's the confusing thing. Yeah. So here, Ramya Mataji is asking a question here, and I can understand why it could be confusing. So here it says, in such false devotion, one does not find pleasure in exclusively in the Lord's pleasure. No, not this one. Yeah. So the sutra that we just discussed says that on the other hand, displays of devotion without knowledge of Krishna's greatness are no better than the affairs of illicit lovers. Okay? So she is asking a question, does this mean that one who does not know about the greatness of God, yet for the sake of showing off, display devotion? It's like a fake devotion. In simple words, she's saying one who is not devoted and shows devotion. How do we understand that? That's what I question. So what I replied to her, and I said that I'll discuss in the open class so that everyone will get to understand that. first of all, we need to know what this sutra is leading us to understand that. What is this sutra is all about? Okay, sutra is all about showing the transcendental loving relationship the gopis had with Krishna. Okay, that is the main point here. So they, even though they were fully aware of Krishna's superhuman powers, but that did not enter in their relationship with Krishna. So their loving relationship was beyond that. Okay? The gopis didn't know about Krishna's majesty and power, but the prema suppressed their divinity, Krishna's divinity, by the potency of Yoga Maya. Okay, so that's one point. Okay, and then I asked her, "You think about yourself and analyze why." So then she came up with a possible example of Duryodhana. That maybe Duryodhana maybe making a fake show of devotion. And obviously, we know Duryodhana was very, very envious of Krishna. And that's not the only example. Even Kamsa. Kamsa was great in fear of Krishna. Shishupal, also of great envy. So, first of all, they did not show any devotion to Krishna, obviously. But even if they did show, we can fool people, but we cannot fool Krishna. You cannot fake devotion to Krishna. Krishna is a supreme person. He knows our heart. He's sitting in our heart as a super soul. So that question itself, there's a fake devotion, is completely out of that. So they were completely envious of Krishna. They had demoniac mind behind that. Great anger, Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna and all that kind of thing. So how could possibly they have devotion? So there is no fake devotion, out of question. Now, even though they were inimical toward Krishna, but their inimicity, then people might argue, how about Bhishmadev? Bhishmadev was a great devotee, but he actually fought against Krishna. So his bhakti was in a Vira Rasa. And that is again another distinction. Bhishmadev's love, even animosity, was actually in Krishna's desire. Krishna wanted to have his Vira Rasa. So Anukula Yena Krishnano, Slanam Bhakti Uttama. So even if you have a loving relationship, or even the animosity, that kind of relationship, the Jaya and Vijaya, they were cursed by Kumaras, but actually it was their desire. So when Krishna wanted to fight, who else can fight him? Nobody can defeat Krishna. Only his own people, his own confidential associates, he can have a friendly fight, just like Krishna used to fight with his Gopa friends. They used to have a wrestling match and anything like that. Only with your friends can do that. So Jaya and Vijaya wanted to satisfy Krishna's desire, and that was the reason why it happened, why they were got cursed and so on like that. So here, Bhishmadev's kind of apparent animosity fighting against Krishna in the Mahabharata war, all these things is because of, there were several other reasons also. But one of the reasons was that his bhava was in this Veena Rasa bhava was there, and that was Anukula Yena Krishna. That was favorable to Krishna. So that is the decision, the definition of pure love. You know, that Anya Abhilashita Shunyam Gnana Karmadya Navritam Anukula Yena Krishnano Shildam Bhakti Tava. So whatever the relations that you might have, even the adversary relationship, but if there is liking to Krishna, then the devotee will do that, even that also, willingly. So all these factors come into play, and you have to understand from that perspective. Okay, now Sutra 24. This is in such false devotion, one does not find pleasure exclusively in the Lord's pleasure. So again, this is another argument Narada Muni is making, that if such a if you call that devotion as a false, gopis' devotion to Krishna, the critics might criticize, they think it's false, then he is saying that in that case, the pleasure would be exclusively in the Lord, so they would have a selfish relationship. They want to enjoy Krishna, so their enjoyment would be a dominating factor. But that was not so. Their whole pleasure was giving pleasure to Krishna, and Krishna being pleased, then they get pleased. So that defies further on that criticism. So desire to gratify one's own sense is kama. So that's now, kama means Sanskrit word is for lust. Okay? So prema and lust are very clearly defined here. As I told you before, prema, a beloved thinks, what could I do? How could I please my beloved? And that is my pleasure. There is a lust relation. What my beloved can make me happy, how he can make me happy, that is the dominating factor. So that is the big defining difference between kama, the lust, and prema. So that's what is given here. And that's the verse quoted by Srila Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The desire to gratify, that's where the distinction is made between lusty relationship and the prema, pure prema. Desire to please the senses of Lord Krishna is prema or lava, whereas lust, their own happiness. I do not mind my personal distress. So here, Radharani is talking about, I do not mind my personal distress. So, as we know, in Ujjwal Nilamani, we so many such examples. Krishna deliberately used to give difficulties to Radharani. He would make an appointment with Radha and he would go to her rival's place, spend the night there, and come next morning, and all the telltale signs you don't even hide purposefully. So Radharani says that even he is giving me all the difficulties, deliberate pain, all these things, and yet I love him so much. So that because his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me the distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. See, that is the supreme love. If Krishna, my beloved, if he derives pleasure in giving me difficulties, stress, I don't mind. Because if he derives the pleasure in that, there is my pleasure, even in my distress condition. Now that ordinary people cannot do that. None of us can do that. If he feels great happiness in giving me the distress, that distress is the best of my happiness. That is for Radha. Srimati Radharani is love. Krishna is the supreme Mahabhava. The gopis have no inclination for their own enjoyment, and yet their joy increases. This seeming contradiction, what is the contradiction here? They're going to the distress, and yet their distress, they find happiness. Because Krishna is happy in that. So this seeming contradiction is explained because the joy of the gopis reside in the joy of their beloved Krishna. Somehow or other, yena prakarane, if my Krishna is happy with me, there is my happiness, regardless of what my situation is all about. This is the natural result of intense love of Godhead, the Charama Sima, the ultimate that none of us ever can come to that level. The Prema Bhakta does not consider personal inconvenience or impediments in all circumstances. So this is another example I was telling to my teammates. They were worrying when I'm committed for 3 courses in this one same year, and now I was proposing this 4th course. and they all know that my vision issues, my heart condition, all these things. So the Shastra and scriptures, we learn that. So whatever when we do for Krishna, the devotees on the onlookers, they feel that this devotee is enduring such great pain. But it's not real. A devotee does not feel that pain. Apparently it looks like to others, but he enjoys working for Krishna. That is a big difference. Working for Krishna and his devotees. That's it's very difficult to describe. What is that? Onlookers, it might look like that, but because I'm experiencing that when I'm conducting these courses, I have to work 16, 18 hours a day, and I feel great pain. I'm full of energy. So that's what I'm an ordinary person, ordinary devotee. We are talking about here great devotees like that. It's no comparison. And yet, even at my level, I'm experiencing that. Okay, so in all circumstances, we want to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So why does a devotee approach Krishna with pure selfish love, selfless love, seeking only to please him? So what is the reason? One has to personally, now read very carefully. I'm reading very carefully. Okay? Pay close attention here. Something very important we are seeing here. And this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 14, verses 50 to 57. A lot of verses are there, and here is given the essence of those verses. Okay? Why? So question is here, why does a devotee approach Krishna with pure selfless love, seeking only to please him? What is the secret? So one has to personally experience such love. It is very hard to explain in words. There's no words to come to explain that. You have to see it. It's like that, when you tell people that, this particular item tastes so good, but I cannot explain how good it is. Only you have to taste yourself, then you will realize. So such prema, unless you experience, it's very hard. Somebody else can explain to you. So this is what it is about. Only one has to personally experience such love. And that's what Radharani was telling to in the Radha Tattva course we discussed about it. When Krishna took a form of a young girl and he visited Radharani and he wanted to know exactly Radha's prema for him. So that's why Radha was explaining to this girl who was actually Krishna, that I cannot give you the conception, even the closest one, because you have to have yourself go through that kind of love. That Krishna, my Krishna is like that. You stay here with me and meet my Krishna, then you will understand what Krishna is all about. That's what she was telling to this girl who was actually Krishna was impersonating her, just to see the depth of Radha's love for him. Krishna wanted to see. Ultimately, of course, he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted to see, understand why Radharani loves him so much. So he came, Krishna himself came in the mood of the Radharani. So this is a glimpse of such love, even the material world, as in the love of a mother. So to give a just idea, Prabhupada is giving the idea that first of all, it's very difficult to find such selfless love on the material platform. The closest it can come is the love between mother and a child. Mother loves the child without any kind of expectation from the child what the child will do. That we can all understand. We can relate to that. So this is like that. That is the closest to that. Mother feels for her child, including even the animal society. How the tiger is so possessive of her cubs, that we all know about it. She will fiercely defend her cubs. The secret driving force for the devotee is the all attractiveness of Krishna, beauty and charm, this was demonstrated, and even Lord Brahma, he became bewildered. And you all know that. So here's another verse by Prahlad Maharaj here actually. When Prahlad Maharaj, Lord Nrsimhadev wanted to give him something in return for great love Prahlad Maharaj had, and he underwent so many difficulties by his father, Hiranyakashipu, so many atrocities his father committed against him, and yet his love for Lord Vishnu remained always stronger. So Lord Nrsimhadev was very pleased with Prahlad Maharaj, and he wanted to give him something in material terms. But Prahlad Maharaj said, no way. If I do that, then it's like it's going to be a business transaction. But I am your servant, and you are my Lord. So that kind of relationship, such a business transaction should not take place. So the gopis did not want anything at all in return in Krishna. So their love was at supreme level. It's very, very hard to give even the glimpse of it. So to work for Krishna, I consider this conducting his mission, this conducting his courses. It is Krishna's mission to me. It's just like a deity seva, and you prepare a bhoga to be offered to Krishna. It's such great love you prepare. Anything, even little bit details, if you're very, when you buy from supermarket, you're very careful, look the back, and see, make sure that it is not something it contains, something that should not be offered to Krishna, right? So such minute details, you become very, very careful about that. So here also like that. In the conduct of these courses, I'm trying to please Krishna. So that is my goal. That is my love. Here, text 25. Pure devotion service, on the other hand, is far superior to fruity work, philosophical speculation, mystic meditation. So is again a sharp distinction is being made. Narada Muni emphasizes that all devotees practicing bhakti yoga are categorically superior to other practitioners of self-love. Again, jnana yoga, karma yoga, and all these other examples are given. Bhakti yoga is much more superior. Although these processes do have certain values of their own relative to those selfish motives, such as karma, jnana, and yoga kanda. So karma yoga and karma kanda, big difference. Karma kanda has completely selfish desire. Whereas in karma yoga, through your karma, you're trying to link with Krishna. So that is the big difference. Jnana yoga and jnana kanda. Jnana kanda is something like just a philosophical discussion, just a mental speculation. Prabhupada said in one of the purport in Bhagavad Gita that there's a difference between philosophical, simply if you just mentally speculate something versus you speculate, you're not speculating, if you're discussing within the framework, the scriptures, then you can have a philosophical discussion. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you mentally speculate beyond the confines of the scriptures, then it's all just mental speculation. So that is what the difference is made. Karma yoga, whatever you, so that's again the difference between karma kanda and karma yoga. Karma kanda, you are worshipping some demigods so that the demigods can give you something in material terms. This karma yoga, Krishna himself gets yet karoshi, yet josh, yet dadas, yet prautaya, that but purushva arpana. So whatever with love, whatever you eat, whatever you do, everything you just offer to me. So that is through karma, you are pleasing Krishna. So that is what karma yoga versus karma kanda. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, you give away, whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, is an offering to me. In that famous verse, yet karoshi, yet. Okay, Jnana Yoga also the same thing like that. Bahunam Janmanamam Mam. that particular verse in Bhagavad Gita, that after many, many births and deaths, he who actually is in knowledge, surrender unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So Krishna is glorifying such a jnana. So see that jnana difference. Ashtanga Yoga also same thing like that in 647. Yoginam api sarvesham. And of all the yogis, the one with great faith always abides in me, thinking of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga. So Krishna is giving some examples of those. But again, Bhakti Yoga is the superior one. So karma, jnana, and ashtanga yoga can become favorable for Krishna consciousness, but direct pure para bhakti, we are talking para bhakti, unlike apara bhakti that we'll talk about later in the subsequent mantras, subsequent sutras. But para bhakti is the supreme, unalloyed bhakti, pure bhakti. That is always superior. So that is the conclusion of Krishna's teaching in Bhagavad Gita. And then finally, Sarva Dharman Paritejya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja, Aham Tvam Sarva Papabhyo Mokshyasmi. Master, ultimate surrender, unconditional surrender. That is supreme. Okay, so that concludes. So as you can see, these are very, very straightforward sutras. So let's see if there are any questions or comments. Before we get into the discussion I was telling you about. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the full class, Prabhu. Prabhu, just can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
In the Sutra number 24, yes. So pure devotional, no, I'm talking about the 24, Prabhuji. So you said that on the other hand, so in the 24, basically it is saying that in such false devotion, one does not find a pleasure exclusively in the Lord's pleasure, Prabhu. I mean, it is a very, very heavy topic I have taken, Prabhu. I mean, whatever devotion service we are doing little bit here and there, it has to be on the pleasure of Krishna. If we find anything in our, suppose, for example, I'm talking about myself, suppose if I'm giving the class or something like that, oh, our intention should be pleasing Krishna rather than, oh, I can give a best class, something like that, So this is a mundane things I'm thinking, but it is, that is bit dangerous to the bhakti. That's what I have taken from this sutra number 24. I mean, every activities, whatever we are doing, we have to please Krishna. Whether it is 100 audience or 1 audience, doesn't matter. Number of audience, our whatever the preaching, our little bit, see, it has to be please Krishna, not for the audience. That's what I have taken, Prabhu. Please correct me. How we need to, in your long journey, Prabhu, now you are nearly 80 years. In this, getting to this level is a very, very difficult. I mean, so for me, Prabhu. So could you please give some idea how to get this bhava? This is the very, very, it is anartha nivritti stage. I mean, it is a very, very big bhami stage, Prabhu. So that's what
let me tell you, this is nothing special about it. It sounds like very difficult to understand how to please Krishna, and then his pleasure is my pleasure. It's actually like the mantra Prabhupada's purport that we understood, that it is something that you have experienced yourself, and there is the potency of that bhakti itself to Krishna. Anything and everything you do for Krishna, there's a natural joy, pleasure comes from within. See, when anything, even a hard work, if you do for Krishna, and if you have that mindset that this is what I'm doing it for Krishna, like for this example of this conducting these courses, teaching, I never say I'm teaching. Whatever I learn, I share it with you. Teaching is something beyond, because here I'm learning myself. So even though I have to work 16, 18 hours a day, I really am full of energy. Because that is the potency of that bhakti itself, the potency of that thinking that way, that I'm doing it for Krishna, for his pleasure. Then pleasure you will experience that pleasure yourself. Even though to the onlookers, it will look like, oh my God, this dude is working so hard. How can he do that? He must be very tired. Like that, But this is the potency of the bhakti itself, like that. And Krishna himself says that in the 9th chapter, very beginning, first 2 words, remember that sukham, with great joy, you will do that. Krishna has invested his potency right in that. Everything you do for Krishna, you will derive the pleasure. And that pleasure is your pleasure. You will experience that. That my Lord is going to be pleased by my work, hopefully. And how do I judge that Krishna is pleased or not? By Krishna's devotees, like all of you. If you are pleased, then I feel that my Lord will be happy. Because Krishna also seeing that whether I am being able to help his devotees. So all of you become pleased when all of you admire my PowerPoints. To me, Krishna is showing to me through all of you that he is happy with my work. And that the sense of accomplishment further empowers me further and do more and more. So why I'm coming the 4th course now? This twice a week it already be a committed. Where to find the time? So that's why I'm suggesting to my teammates that can you think of Friday nights, all of you in India, like that. So that is, you always feel energetic. Everything you do. He gives that power within us. It's difficult to explain in words. You have to experience yourself. I really never feel tired.
Yes.
I hardly sleep 3-4 hours a night, and I'm still full of energy. But the onlookers, my wife, tells me that you are going to spoil your health eventually. I already lost vision in my left eye, right? Told you that. The right eye is already affected. Here is the wet AMD, age-related macular. It's bleeding from inside. The blood is clotting, and that form a big black patch. My central vision is totally lost. Here, it's not bleeding, but it's coming to it. Eventually, it's going to develop. So my retina specialist is trying our best to prolong the progression of the disease, But to me, I feel Krishna is giving me a great opportunity. You said I'm almost approaching 80 years. I'm 79 and a half. Within a few months, I'll be 80 years old. But do you see that signs in me? Look at my face. Look at the energy.
Yes, Prabhu, you are still looking pretty.
Where does it come from? It's the point there. Because I consider this is his mission. I'm trying to please devotees, all of you. So that it is very difficult. You have to taste yourself. And whatever you do, you think that I'm doing it for him. So that Gopi's pleasure, we are nowhere close to Gopis. Forget about it. We will never be able to do that. Because we are on material planet. We have this material body. Yes. But the closest to that you can get is that feeling great happiness. See, when you dress up the deities in your home or in your altar, how great pleasure will derive. But on a material thing, something else you want to do it, soon you'll get tired.
Yes.
That is so Krishna has invested his potency in whatever you do for him.
Yes.
And and along the path, we purify ourselves.
Yes.
Or material dirt is getting away from us. So,
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. I mean, my wife is asking that Prabhu, suppose he said that he will retire from last class only. Still, I said he will never retire. That's what I was telling.
no, Krishna
Yeah, Prabhu.
giving look, our goal, what our goal has to be there.
Yes.
Until
Yeah.
our answer. At the last moment of our life, that we can never be sure what would be our physical and mental condition at that time, right?
Yes.
We cannot be sure that we will be able to remember Krishna at that time.
Yes.
But Krishna says, actually in the Isha Upanishad, one of the words, it says that Krishna will make sure that we will remember him. Prabhupada said, don't say that I want to see Krishna. Let Krishna, you should behave yourself in such a way, act in such a way, style you do in such a way that Krishna wanted to see you. Vishwadev, Krishna himself came there.
Yes.
And we hear this Ichha. He could choose the moment of their death. Krishna himself came there. So our devotional sort of bhakti should be like that.
Yeah.
That Krishna himself will want to come to you.
Yeah.
He will make sure that we remember him. So this is my golden moments. My waning last months or year or two I might have. Even if I lose the vision in both my eyes, it's up to him. My inner vision will be opened up. These are these eyes, ears, they are just the outer organs. The real sense organs are within inside, and they goes with us as part of the subtle body, inner vision. See that inside, have you seen that what the outer body expression? Outer body, when the person dies, he comes out of his body and watches. The doctors are reviving his patient, but he sees everything.
Yes.
How could he see that? The eyes and everything is here because the inner organs are goes with that. So this is what it is. Krishna is giving a very golden opportunity in my last few months of that one. I might have maybe another year or two. And he's allowing me to purify myself. I still have a lot of dirt in me. And still is no guarantee. And may I still have to come. And Krishna gives promise to Arjuna that whatever you have done, nothing is lost. In the next life, he will make us take birth in such a family, right from childhood, will be exposed. So what is the Shastra which I'm conducting? In the next life, I will be still sharper than now. Even whatever I have, the sharpness, so-called sharpness that you see in me, who knows, I might have done something in previous life. I'm just continuing from that point onwards in this life. So this is what Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabuji. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabuji, I have two realizations that I wanted to share in the lines of what Rajiv Prabuji was asking. But before that, I really want to be thankful to you and really eternally grateful and indebted to you for imparting such vast amount of knowledge to us, and you're still doing very much for us at this advanced stage, and with your health issues. I mean, eternally grateful to you. I mean, but at the same time,
I'm doing it for myself. I'm redeeming myself, and I'm sharing it with you. And you give me the protsahana. Sanskrit word is for protsahana. Encouragement. You are encouraging me by being there with me, for me, all of me.
at the same time, like a daughter, I would like to say that please do take care of your health. It's very important. We want your association for long. And the two realizations, what I was going to say in terms of, pleasing, doing service only to please Krishna is sometimes, like I'm relating to my experience. Sometimes I go to the temple for playing Veena early in the morning before anybody comes for special festival days, before Mangalarti to wake up the Lord. And at that time, there is no audience that way, only supreme audience behind the altar. So the pujari is waking the lordships up at that time, very early in the morning. So it's a very focused and concentrated, and there is no distraction. So at that time, this kind of thought process never comes. So you're only playing for Krishna at that time, Gaur Nitai and Jagannath. The moment some devotees come in or some audience come, there is always distraction because they are talking. So you get distracted, that focus gets distracted. So that way, in the early in the morning when there is no audience to listen to you, only you are playing for the supreme audience. If we consider the supreme audience who are the supreme personality of Godhead or lordships, we won't get distracted that way. And I totally understand when you are giving classes, you will have audience and there will be distraction. So, and I wanted to share, one of the senior devotees said that one time he came to give Bhagavatam class, like usually every day we have Bhagavatam class, and there was nobody there. No mortal beings or devotees were there to listen to him. So, and then that devotee thought for a bit, like, should I go ahead and give the class? Well, Krishna and Radharani are standing in front of, in front, and then they are, listening, and, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, Maharani are there, Gaur Nitai are there. Why should we not give the class? Because Krishna is ready to listen about his glories. So that way, he still conducted the class. There was nobody in the temple room, excepting for Srila Prabhupada and all the Vigrahas, or the deities. They were listening to the class. So these two realizations I just wanted to share, like, in relation to that topic. Thank you, Prabuji.
Thank you very much for sharing with us. Thank you so much. That gives encouragement for all of us. So last few minutes remaining. So I will talk about this new course. I'll send you out the email to you. So I'm going to give this last few minutes we have to Shravan Prabuji. We could share his realizations with us, pertaining to all these 4 mantras that we discussed. I thought it was very straightforward. These 4 mantras, there was nothing difficult to understand that. And Shravan Prabuji. Shravan Prabuji, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Now, in this lesson, we spoke at length, we learned at length about the Aishwarya Jnana. Then somebody may think, can we artificially develop the feelings of relationship with the Lord as our friend or our child or something like this? Can we do that? In that, here we have to understand that this Aishwarya Jnana, it is inherent in us, because we are in that stage. As I was talking to you the other day, unless we go beyond asakti, then naturally we will not have will not consider this Aishwarya Jnana as insignificant. Like as told, the Brajavasis, they saw all the incredible outfits of incredible things performed by Krishna, but still then they did not believe much in that, because their Madhurya Bhava, Madhurya Jnana was far superior to this Aishwarya Jnana. And as told, it is not that the gopis didn't know the Aishwarya Bhava, Aishwarya Jnana of the Supreme Lord. Here we have to know one thing, that as given in Bhagavad Gita 3:26, till the time we have not developed, we have not gone to that stage, we have to do our prescribed duties, and we have to respect the Lord in Aishwarya Bhava only. That's why even Srila Prabhupada, he advised the devotees to worship, not worship Radha and Krishna, but worship even Lakshmi Narayana in the Aishwarya Bhava. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, 20th chapter, 9th verse, there is a very famous verse. This also we should remember. Tabat karmani kurbita na nirvidyeta yavata matkatha sravanadova saddha yavat prajayate. As long as one is not satiated, satisfied, fulfilled his desires by fruitive activity, that is karma, and he has not awakened his taste to devotional service to Lord Krishna or Vishnu, one has to act according to the regulative principles of the Vedic injunctions. That means we should not, we cannot go, we cannot violate this and behave something like this, or behave even with the deity form of the Lord, like a friend or the relationship like this, as the Brajavasis used to do, because Brajavasis, they were at a much higher stage. We should know our stage, in which stage we are, and we should not try to copy them. Otherwise, we'll have anarthas accompanying us, and will not progress in the devotional service. So this has to come naturally. When we come to that stage, or we cross the stage of asakti and above, which is a very higher stage. That's why for the time being, we should be satisfied with this Aishwarya Bhava, and we should worship the Lord and have relationship with Aishwarya Bhava. That is what is to be remembered by all of us. But those devotees who are in a much higher scale, higher grade, they are in a much higher stage, then they can practice this. But such devotees are very rare, very less. For a newcomer like me and even many others, we should worship the Lord in the Aishwarya Bhava only. That has to be understood. And for understanding what Aishwarya means, that we have been told in very great detail. And at the end, I want to thank Charu Prabuji for agreeing to, or rather, he only has given this proposal to have the Prema Vivarta classes after the Madhurya Kadambini, and that is going to be very great, because that will be a prelude to Jaiva Dharma. And I can tell you upfront that Jaiva Dharma, if you understand Jaiva Dharma, then you will have all your doubts clarified, because it gives a gist of each and everything in the devotional literature. And I'll request all of you to read the book, go through the lessons, go through the PowerPoints when they come to you, and you will be greatly benefited. And for that, the beginning is the Prema Vivarta. So we will not be losing the company of Charu Prabuji, because though he has been telling that after this I will stop everything, but one after the other he is agreeing to conduct courses for us. And on behalf of all the devotees, I want to thank him profusely. And I am very sure even after the Prema Vivarta and Jaiva Dharma, something else will come up. So we welcome that. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hare, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Tanvat Pranam. Prabhuji, it was a very beautiful lecture. Just one thing is bothering me here. Sharad Prabhuji and you explained so beautifully, but I was wondering at my level, which is a very, I don't know where am I, but for people who are just practicing bhakti in whatever capacity, they can, like how we are struggling to complete our rounds with mindfully completing our rounds, and struggling to catch up with lectures so that we are in devotee association. But after doing all this, after doing all the courses, I want to my mind asks me, like, what will be our destination after doing the bhakti, after doing the shravana kirtanam, and what if in the middle only I leave my body, and the material body gets over, then what could be the destination? Like in case of Ajamil, he just took once the name and he was liberated. But after doing, like, we are not, so still Ajamil was at a very great level. What about us, very normal people like us? What will be our destination if when we leave our body? That was my question.
Good question, Samadhi. Like I said, when you're driving in a stormy night, you cannot see your destination, or you can see just 50 feet above, beyond the path, whatever your headlight is illuminating. So that, don't worry about that. Just what you see, whatever you can see, and go along that. So don't worry about how am I going to. Krishna himself will empower you as you make progress, and everything comes from him. Nothing is our own. That's how the Dainya Bhav, if we are going to be talking tomorrow, that Dainya Bhav comes like that. When the devotee feels that whatever he does, nothing of his own smartness or his own intelligence, everything is provided by Krishna. You have to let yourself free, let him take charge of all our senses. And whatever the needed things that we have, he will provide. Whatever I'm doing, everything is everything coming from him. We have nothing of our own to claim that we are something. So that's where the Dainya Bhav develops. So Mataji, if I were you, I would not worry about it. Just focus on your present moments. Whatever you are doing great. You are the one who set up this Kirtaniya group, and it's all up to you. I gave you that responsibility, and you have handled it so beautifully, beyond my imagination. So Krishna is already helping you. Whatever good in particular way you are, in that level you serve Krishna. You are a very good singer. Krishna has given you such a beautiful, melodious voice. You serve him through that, and you are helping other devotees. What more you need? That's what I would say. Sharku, you want to add something more to that?
Thank you, Prabuji. Actually, there are so many types of devotees and their destinations and all that, taking the scriptures into account. Tomorrow, if I get time for about 10 minutes, I'll go through them, what is given in the Bhagavad Gita, what is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But we should know that when we are on this path of devotional service, we are chanting, taking the name of the Lord. But still then we have got so many material desires. But still then it is totally guaranteed, 100% guaranteed that we will not go to hell. We will get a much better life even in the next birth. And specifically, like it has been described in the 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Artha, Arthati, Jigyasu, Jnani and all that, what is going to be their destinations? They will go to the Vishnu Loka or Golak Vrindavan, or to the Swarga Loka, or they will come back to this material earth. They are all there along with the as per the commentaries of the Acharyas. I can cover in about 10 minutes if I get time. Sometime I get a chance. Because now today we have already overshoot the time by 5 minutes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, thank you. Tomorrow we'll have that time. So let's all request Sada Prabhuji to conclude the class. Almost Sarah Prabuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obsession. All go to Chila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhai. Namaste Narasimhai. Prahladaladai. Prahladaladai. Hiranyakasi Purvaksar. Hiranyakasi Purvaksar. Shilatankar Nathali, Shilatankar Nathali. Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha, Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha. Ite Yami, Ito Narsingha, Ite Yami, Ito Narsingha. By Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha, by Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha. Narasimhamadin Sharanam Prapade. Narasimhamadin Sharanam Prapade. Tamakala Kamala Bhare. Nakadbhuta Singam Dalita Hiranyakasipur Tanu Bringam. Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Tavakala Kamala Bhare. Nakhadbhuta Singam Dalita Hiranyakasipur Tanu Bringam. Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, शिला प्रपात की जय, चारु प्रभु की जय, शरद प्रभु की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, ऑल असेंबल डिवोटी की जय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्णा चारू भाई जी, हरे कृष्णा to
Hare Krishna
Mataji,
Sarat
all
Prabhuji.
one.
Thank you very much.
हरे कृष्णा
Wonderful class. Thank you.
wonderful.
So much. I bow all Vishnu Prabhupada.
Thank you, Chandra.
I'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Sharad
much, Prabhu
Prabhuji.
ji.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Charu Prabhuji.
Take care.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you, Sharad Prabhuji. Thank you.
Prabhuji, thank you very much.